Creating success out of failure. Creating success out of failure.
I'm Jonathan Federa. I'm here to inspire you to hustle and grow your income while doing what you love. Just because you have problems doesn't mean you can't prosper. Just because you have tragedy doesn't mean you can't triumph. Actually, you should be taking advantage of that.
There's positivity in my pain. I took scarcity and turned it into strength. I always tell life, there's not much you can do to me where I won't make an obstacle an opportunity. We never lose, we only learn lessons. If you wanna change your perspective. If you don't know how to do that, we'll show you how right now. This is about to go down. You are tuning in to creating success out of failure. Creating success creating success out of failure. Out of failure.
Welcome to Creating Success Out of Failure. I'm here with my co-host, Jessica, and our lovely guest, Jennifer. Jennifer is a serial entrepreneur, and there's so much we have to dig into with you, Jennifer. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about all the businesses you run, how you operate your social media. I mean, you got a lot going on, and
I do.
So
Yeah.
lead us in.
It's actually come down to a science of learning what you can do and your expectations of what you should be doing for yourself, your family, and your businesses. It's actually been a long journey. I have been an entrepreneur for 21 years. And so learning how to run your companies, how to do everything accordingly, branding yourself. It's been a hard road. And as I told Jessica, a hard road means that it was hard, but I definitely learned a lot out of it. Right. So with my failures in life, and that goes all around board, right? It could be failures with businesses, finances, love, marriage, kids, whatever you call it. I have failed. And I have then learned actually how to do processes and procedures. I have learned actually what we do in business and not just be called an entrepreneur and do business and work in your business. I have actually gone the step of expanding the business and learning the aspects of what I need to in order to grow my companies. And so realistically, it all flourished about probably 3 years ago. So it's taken me that long to really understand and learn what I have to do in businesses to make them grow. And
what happened 3 years ago that was that moment for you?
That was my moment that my whole life fell apart. And I shouldn't say just that moment because my life has fallen apart many of times before that moment. But that was definitely a pivotal time in my life because I literally lost every single person in my life. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard my story, but at age 24 is when I bought my first $1 million company. And 7 years into that, I lost it all to rebuild it again. And during that time, I was divorced before I built that company. And then I got remarried and was going through a divorce during that time. And he was actually telling me he was going to be coming after my company. Anyway, long story short, if I just walked away and didn't ask for anything, he wouldn't bother me. And well, that wasn't going to happen. And we built a life, for 10 years. So there was no way I was walking away from everything. So I actually bankrupted my company. And it was the only way out of it at that point. And so at that pivotal time of my life, I now bankrupt the second time, right? You think you learn your lesson your first time. Well, you don't. It was inevitable. I had to do it. So I bankrupt the second time. And with that, I was shooting for the Arnold Australia. I was going to go and compete in Australia, and I filed for divorce. And during that time, it was very nasty, and not nasty on my behalf, but very nasty on the other the other end of the spectrum. And it was to a point that every single person in my life walked away, even my son. So I was left literally by myself with a company that I had to reinvent. And I had to learn that I can't work in the business. I need to work on the business, and fixing who Jen was at that point. It was a time in my life that I had to look back and say, really, who the fuck am I? I have lived my life for everybody else for this amount of time. Who am I, and what am I going to do going forward now that I know that the only person that has my damn back is myself?
That must have been very overwhelming and a sad realization. And I think so many people hit that point, they don't know how to crawl up because it's so much. So what's one piece of advice for someone in that stage where you're just getting hit from every angle? Like, what was the first step to, like, making that 1-inch step towards crawling out?
Yeah. So I had my parents questioning me at that time, my son not talking to me. All my sponsorships got disowned because they said I was, hopped out on steroids, and I couldn't think for myself, because that was the reason why I left my husband at that point, right? That's the reason what they were saying. So I'm getting ready for Arnold, Australia, and 3 weeks before my show, I come down with shingles. And everybody's telling me to quit the Arnold, Australia. And even my coach, and it was that voice inside me that everybody has, that nobody wants to listen to, that told me, do not give up, keep pushing, even though you hurt, even though you're sick, keep pushing forward. And I did. And I went and competed at the Arnold, Australia. And when I came home, I had a realization that my whole life shifted, and it was actually about what Jen wanted to do going forward and following my passions of what I wanted. And with doing that and following that instinct that I had, every flipping door opened, and it was phenomenal. It all changed. It was life-altering change for me.
Awesome.
So that was my downright bad story.
They're not bad though. I mean, everyone sees the success. They need to know how you got there, right?
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah, it's the truth.
We all go through it. Some of us don't show it. Most of us don't show it. Most of us will just show the good stuff. But
Yeah.
this is for everyone that goes through the dark,
Yeah. And it's what created Jen. And I call myself Jen, right? It's what created Jen now going forward, because with having that downfall, I actually opened up a medical clinic at that point. And I actually branched with one of my girlfriends. And I saw all of the pivotal things that I was missing in my companies that I wasn't doing correctly, right? And then with doing that, I started building the leadership that I needed to. I started building the core values. I started doing the things that I needed to do. And then at that time, I was brought on a first form Legionnaire athlete. They flew me to St. Louis. They literally coached me one-on-one on nutrition, diet, supplements, everything that I needed to know. And then on top of that, then it opened the door to the Arete Syndicate, right? So then I launched with the Arete Syndicate. It was just like a trickle effect. And I look back at all of the crap that I went through to where I am now, and I'm like, man, that happened. I got my pro card. I went to Australia. It happened so I could get my Legionnaire athlete. So then that way I become friends with Emily and Andy. Then I become in the Arete Syndicate. And then the Arete Syndicate led me to Ryan Stewman, which led me to Apex Executives, led me to be a coach. All my nutrition background now is coming to work with Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and working on our coaching program for people. It's all of these things in life. If you follow that instinct that you have inside and you don't listen to everybody else's bullshit, that is your guide. That is what's telling you what your path needs to be. And you have to own it. Regardless of how uncomfortable it feels, regardless if you're in a kitchen on the floor crying your eyes out because your life is literally demolished, just know that if you follow that gut instinct, it will lead you to exactly what you need to be doing.
I believe in that wholeheartedly. And I think the hardest thing for an entrepreneur is that no one gets it. So people will
Yep.
be like, well, what's the laid out plan? Like, give us all the details. And you're just like, I'm following my gut. And people are like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
You can't do
Yeah.
that. You need a plan. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're just following what instinctually feels right.
Yeah.
And then when you look back at the trail, you realize all those things led you full circle to the human that you've become. And that's
Yeah.
what happened to you. I love that story.
Yeah. But, I do have to say, as we get into business, like I talked to you, Jessica, we do need a plan. And when I bought my business at age 24, if I knew what I was doing and if I had mentorship and coaching, I would be dominating life right now, right? Like just crushing it. And I'm not saying I'm not right now, but I'd probably be 10 times more than what I am, at this moment. And so the hardest thing that I had to learn was I had to learn to actually run a company. And with running a company and running team members, it's actually super easy. It's super simple. It comes down to a formula, and you can literally run your life like that, and you can run your fitness and health like that just as much. And it
So
all comes down to people helping you.
what were some of the things you think you were doing wrong when things were going bad? Like, what were some of those things that you were doing that may have attributed to that?
Yeah. So we were always told you work hard, right?
Mhm.
That's how you get ahead. You work hard. That's all I knew. That's all I knew from my mother. That's all I knew, from anybody in my life is you work hard to get to a certain point. So I literally worked 6 days a week in the clinic, would clean houses on the side, like would do whatever I could to get ahead. Right. And that is how I worked. So I worked in the clinic. I worked 12-hour days, 13-hour days. And I was exhausted by the time I got home. Well, if I knew all of the business strategies of what I should have done, um, I could have built a huge empire with that clinic in the beginning and probably have had multiple locations already running smoothly, just having the systems in place that I know now, right? And so with taking on with the electrical company, we really brought in EOS, and that's when we started. And that's why I say my pivot was really about 3 years ago, right? Because I learned traction. I learned in bringing EOS. I learned in bringing an EOS coach. I had one-on-one mentoring with them. And then I was able to start building the companies off of that and understanding the purpose of a visionary, understanding the purpose of an integrator, understanding how these leadership roles together. And if you look at your marriage, or if you look at your relationships you have, it's almost the same thing, right? You guys are visionaries. Then you have an integrator role. You guys have to work relationship, and it may be counseling, it may be doing books together, it may be doing things to work on that core value of your business, which is that relationship. And it's the same thing with fitness. And so that's what I coach on. I coach on really strategizing and understanding that they're in play to help you to get where you need to be. And some entrepreneurs have a hard time. They still want to work in their business, right? And that's okay. And I tell them that that's okay. If that is your passion, I want you to do it. But then we need to find somebody that is going to take over some of these other roles that you should not fill. And that's that's just where I feel like I've learned all of my education. And I'm really excited. I haven't said this, and I didn't tell you this, Jessica, but when we get off this call today, the EOS coach that has been coaching Kevin and I actually wants to talk to me about bringing me on board.
Yay.
So I don't know what's going to be happening there, but we'll see. So yeah.
But you could add that to your resume after this call.
I know, right?
Well, the funny part is, right, and I think you get this a lot, as do I. You own very diverse businesses, and so do I. But what people don't understand is the business things you learn for one industry can easily apply to something else. But you took it even a step further, and you're like, you can apply this to life. It's not just business. Sure, it's that business and this business in any industry, but how about your marriage? How about fitness? So because fitness has played such a huge role in your life, and we're a bodybuilder, and I don't know, is that still going on? Are you still competing? Are you planning on that?
I was getting ready to do a show before COVID hit, and then I kind of dropped down. So I will do a show. I, as of right now, am competing to get on Miss Fitness magazine. So we'll see how that goes. I'm still in first place. So it ends today, and then it goes to another level. So I guess it goes until August. So I have to compete until August with women. So we'll see. So I surpassed, I believe, this one. So I'm excited about that. So that probably leads me to a road that if that happens, then I will probably have to get ready for another show.
That's exciting.
How long does it take you to get ready?
3 months.
3 months. Okay.
3 months. 3 months of hard work, and it's funny.
But you have to stay at, like, you're always in shape. We've known each other for about 2 years. I have never seen you not in really good shape. So how do you, like, what is the base? And then it's always 3 months from that base, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am literally 20 pounds off of show weight. So I'm out of shape. Big time.
But that's out of shape for competing.
She
Okay.
looks amazing.
Yeah,
Let's just
I mean,
tell
that's
our
fucking insane, because no one would ever be able to say she's 20 pounds out of where she needs to be.
Yeah. But I have
incredible.
to say, I think fitness has been a huge role in my anti-aging. And that's why I tell people this all the time. I don't care. I mean, you of course need to use good products on your skin. Don't get me wrong. You do. But your health is what is causing you to look the way that you look, right? And so I'm going to be 42 next month, or no, I'm sorry. Next week, I'll be 42. And I think it all boils down to really taking care of yourself, and being a health fanatic. And, I'm always learning. I love to learn about health. Like, I want to learn about lectins. I want to learn about, what carbs do, what keto does. I have done every single diet possibly known to man just because I want to know how you feel when you're doing it. But
so what is your preferred one then?
My preferred?
Yep.
Gosh, I change all the time. If you ask Kevin, he'll be like, what stupid ass diet are you doing this week? Right? Because I'm always on about something. Like, I'll be juicing, or then I'll go keto, and then I'll go, I'll go vegan for 3 weeks. And I would say I like keto, but keto in moderation, meaning like I like high protein, moderate fat, low carbs. I think our bodies do very, very well on that, especially for females, because females actually need more fat in their diets, because it plays a huge role with our metabolism, and it plays a huge role with just like our lining and the way we think, and it just all of that for women. The more fat in your diet is better, but in moderation. So just don't go, hog out on fat and think that fat is like eating burgers and, I shouldn't say that, but hamburgers, or eating chocolate or whatever else. It's actually good fat, right? Avocados, things like that. But anyway, we'll get off that.
So talk to us a little bit about EOS, because that's something I've heard several times. I don't pretend to be an expert in it, so educate us and the listeners. Yeah, EOS.
Awesome. EOS is It's an operating entrepreneur system. And what it does is it pretty much kind of segregates your companies in places. So you have your visionary, right? Your visionary is the person that is the entrepreneur that our brains go 50 million miles in different directions, right? There's a bird, woo, that way. That's an entrepreneur. Then you have an integrator, and the integrator is actually somebody that sees the visionary's vision, but is actually able to integrate it, right? And so they can start filling in all the little pieces that need to be done. But then what happens is the integrator starts to trickle down. So say you have an integrator, they take care of the whole business, make sure everything's running sufficiently. But then under that, you have an accountant role, right? You have a marketing role, you have a media. The integrator is making sure that everybody's doing their job. And then it starts trickling down into your company. So then say you have a media role, right? Media role is like, you know what? We really need to bring in some advertising in this. We really need somebody for Instagram. And then now you have two little separate roles underneath the media role. And that's how you start growing your company, is a trickle effect. And it's almost like it just starts off and it keeps going this way. And there's core values in there, and it's pushing the core values. But it's not so much like the visionary says, hey, these are my core values. It's actually all the leadership roles get together and they figure out what the core values are of your company, right? Because you can say, well, these are my core values of what my company is. And say your general manager will say, you know what? But I see us doing this and this and this. And what you're creating is you're creating a bond, you're creating a family, you're creating a culture. And then you start blending that out, and everybody has their processes and procedures. Everybody has their protocols of what you need. And honestly, hands down, I feel every single thing that I've learned for business, everybody has their little thing that they use. This one right here dominates every single industry for creating a culture, creating a brand, and creating vision of your company.
I like it.
Okay, I nailed it.
Yeah, you did. Mic drop. Mic drop on that. It's funny because a lot of times with my clients, I'm talking about core values, and they have a hard time nailing them down because they're so, like you said, like 25 steps ahead. And it's
Yeah.
like, hold on a second, though.
Yeah.
We got to reel it back and
Yeah.
really talk about this. And it does. I've seen a lot of times, like, it takes their team
Yeah.
to kind of be like, you created this company, but we know what your values are. So just slow your roll. Let us tell you what they are.
Yeah. And I see so many people, because entrepreneurs are leaders, right? So I believe that we're all narcissists in our own way, right? Every leader is a narcissist. It's just true. And you build this company, but the thing is that as you build a company, you need to realize that there's other people in the company that want to help and to want it to grow, and to sit back and watch the company start flourishing without you honestly doing everything. It's actually a really great thing to see, because you created that family, and that family's growing without you having to dictate everything.
It's such a hard moment to anticipate, though, as as an entrepreneur, because you're so used to being in the grind, doing all the things, and you get used to doing things you're not great at because you have to.
Yeah.
So that moment where you're big enough where you let it go is probably one of the hardest.
Yeah.
And I remember that moment for me. But you're right, the aftermath where you realize, like, oh my God, this is running
Yeah.
without me in it every day, and it's doing great, and now I can do all the things I love. Whew,
Yeah.
that moment is
Yeah.
like everything.
Yeah. Well, and I just gave up a huge portion. So I know, you brought up social media, right? So I just went to the Arate Syndicate event that we had. Well, I guess it's the OG's event. And I talked a little bit about social media and branding yourself and creating that. And for me, when I was starting the branding online, I was doing everything myself, right? So I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, have, 2 hours to do all my branding, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, like it was a mess. It was like so much information I had to push out. And it finally got to the point that I grew this brand over a year that finally was like, you know what? It's at the time now that I can look at hiring somebody to step in and help me take over this. And so it's the same concept, even with your social media, right? So yeah, I'm the visionary. I'm seeing the vision of what I want to happen. Now I hired an integrator. That integrator has hired people under them to now get my LinkedIn, to get my Facebook, to, you know what I mean? It all to coincide. And now I look back and I think, I don't have to be on social media anymore like I was before because I integrated what I needed to for that platform, right? You can do it in every aspect of your life.
It's a
So,
beautiful thing.
yeah, it's
I'll
just
let,
letting go of it.
I'll
Which
let
is
you know when I get there.
what?
I said, I'll let you know when I get there.
It's hard. I know.
Yeah,
It is hard.
it's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people give it up too fast. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like people need to take a beat and understand how to do it so that they know what they want, and then you
Yes.
can properly delegate it. Because if you
Amen.
don't know what you want from it, you can't delegate it the right way. And that's part of the process
Yeah.
that you spoke about, the process.
Yeah. Amen. And I think a lot of people need to understand this. And this is even in fitness. Well, I'm going to take that back, not for myself, because when I get ready for a show, I'm 100%, 110%. And we need to realize that in life, people are only going to do 80% of what we want them to do. And that's normal. And we
That
need to
seems
be
high.
okay with that. I know, right? But it really is 80%. And you expect certain things out of them, but you have to realize they're not going to do it the way that you want to do it. So you would rather have them fail and then help guide them to become a better individual going forward for your leadership role, right? Or you get the phone call of, what should I do? And then you're like, oh, do this, do that. And then they call you again and you keep doing that and you're babying them. Or they call you and you say, what would you do if it's your company? And you put that on them because now you're not the person that they're, constantly bugging and going after because they feel self-sufficient to be able to take care of things. And I even see it with nutrition and diet, as I'm coaching people, they'll say, hey, I want to do this and this. And it's kind of like, well, how are you going to feel when you have that cookie? Right? Is that going to be a positive thing for you? Are you going to feel good about yourself when you're done with that? Or do you think maybe you need to put it down and go for a walk and just think about if you need that cookie?
Yeah.
Put your emotions aside and think about it. Like, is that cookie fulfilling something, or is there something else going on inside that you need to deal with? Yeah. Did you have a bad day? Well, maybe go punch a punching bag,
Yeah. That's literally
Sounds
what I
better
asked
than
for
a cookie.
that's what I asked for my birthday, by the way.
a punching bag. Oh, it's
Yeah.
the best
The
thing.
heavy bag, it's the best.
I get mad at
That-
Kevin. Just
I'm pretty sure you could use him as a punching bag and he wouldn't feel it. So motherfucker's like the Hulk.
oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah.
Uh,
He
Pretty
looks like
strong,
Hulk.
Jonathan.
What? He's
He's
huge.
pretty strong.
She's strong, but Kevin's huge.
I can take him down.
You know what? I'll tell you what. The only person I'm afraid of is my wife. So I totally believe that. My wife's a black belt, and she's a nasty striker. And
I love it.
I train, and I know that she can get some shots in for sure.
Yeah.
And
Good girl.
and ferocious. So
Good.
no need. Yeah.
You have to keep that fear in husbands just a little bit, right? That's just how it works.
Yeah. It is. It is. That's a good point. So that's funny. So what are some of the things that you're working on now, Jen? Like, walk us through that. Besides competing and the show, what are some of the big projects that you're working on that you are super excited about?
Yeah. So I actually have a couple things that we're really excited about. We are launching a solar division, and that will be launching in Arizona. We've just started that. And my book is coming out, and good news is that I've wrote so much that she told me that it will not fit in the book, and I have 3 books that will be launching.
Wow.
So the first book that's coming out, so my podcast, I just switched the name to Own Your Own Shit. And so the book's going to be called Own Your Metabolism. And it's going to be a kickstart of my 6-week metabolism that I do. But I am really excited because I am actually working one-on-one with Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. And so she's a muscle-centric doctor. She's very, very well known. And her and I are actually collaborating together, and we are helping executive entrepreneurs get their shit together. So a lot of times we don't have the time. We don't have the time to cook. We don't have the time to prep. We don't have the time to do all of the stuff that goes along with it, right? So I take that off of your plate, and I help you. Either we order your food in, I do your calories, I walk you through one-on-one coaching. I go through your health. She goes through your gut. She goes through all of your blood work, and we get you dialed into where you need to be. And on top of that, if you want to screenshot your meal to me, because you're going to, I choose what you eat when you're eating out. So, like I said, you follow your passion, right? I love nutrition. I love health. It is my thing. And when I finally just opened up and said, you know what, I want to do this, it all aligned, right? I had that great conversation with Gab. I call her Gab Dog. Had that great conversation with her, and it just flourished. And I actually think there's going to be more to come with that, which I'm really excited about. And so that's a lot. But I'm also launching, working in Dallas, probably starting in October. So I am taking some new clients in Dallas.
Very nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's a lot going on. I'm really happy for you. I'm happy for you. I can't wait for your book. So what, do you have an anticipated launch date for the book?
So it could be out in June, but we might push it to July or August, because I really want to do it when we have our Apex meeting that we have every month. I really want that to launch the day that we're out there. So it's probably going to be planned around that time. So it's ready to go. So within about another month or 2, that will be launched.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Now, you're not going to launch all those books at once, or are you?
No way. No way.
Okay.
No. Yeah. One at a time.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. But it will be the same theme, which I'm excited about. It's going to be a series of own your whatever it may be, right? So own your metabolism, own your mindset, own your, so it's going to be a series coming out of the books. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
I'm excited too. I love your own your own shit. I think it's great.
You know what? It's time. Like, I had the podcast for, I think 2 years, and that was called WTF is Beauty Anyway, right? So that was literally my timing. It was all about beauty industry, skincare, ingredients, nutrition, getting that going. And now my realm is really going into the entrepreneur realm. And so I really wanted something to hone in on people to really own themselves, because I think there's so many fake people out there. There's so many people that are not honest. And we all need to learn that we've all had these moments in our lives that they were, our aha moments, or our fuck me moments at that time that transitioned all of us. And you see all these people winning, which is great, but you never hear the actual truth of how it gets you to the point of winning, right? And, Jessica, like we've talked before, that yeah, we may be winning, but we still have hard times. We still have difficulties. We still have setbacks every day. And, we, our companies, even though you may see that, it's at a certain figure, we still have setbacks. So that $100 to one person is a lot of money. In our realm, it's the same concept, but a higher division, right? And a lot of people don't see it like that. And it takes time to get there.
Absolutely.
100%. I've noticed that. It's if you look back, and this is something I realized when we're going for an SBA loan. I had to do a personal financial statement.
Yeah.
I never feel like I am where I want to be. I always want to get to that next level and get to that next level. And when I did it, and I think I said this last week, I looked, and if you told me 2 years ago this is where I'd be thrilled. But the point is, now I know that there's so much more out there, and so many other things I want to do and accomplish and give back, that how do I get to that next level? So I think there's a fine balance between appreciating where you are and how you got there, because that gives you a little bit of peace. But then there's that inner voice that says, get up, motherfucker, because there's a lot more to do and you're not nearly close to done yet, right? You keep moving that goalpost down the line. And that's why people like us have success, is because you always move that.
People are made to not be happy and satisfied where they are. That's just who we are. That's every single person. Well, majority of people are like that, right?
I actually think I think it's the majority of people we surround ourselves with.
Yeah,
But
if you look at the people that aren't happy within where they want to be, it's because they are, and I don't want to say lazy, but they're not to the mindset that they can feel like they can do better. And maybe that's just inner work that they have to do, right? They're not a confident person in themselves. But every individual, once you get a raise, it's kind of like, okay, I got that, but that doesn't make me happy now. So what can I do to make me happy again? And I see that a lot in especially in the entrepreneur world. And I lived in that world, right? That's why I got my pro card. It was kind of like I wasn't happy at home. So I worked, I took care of my son, and then I went and trained because I didn't want to look at all this shit that I didn't want to deal with, right? And then the minute that I had my aha break moment, I had to look at myself and say, okay, really, what do I want to do to get better? And, hey, you're at this point and you do better, but then you think to yourself, okay, but I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more. That's just how we're made. And I think we're always just going to keep doing that. I mean, you look at Ed Milet, right? He could probably retire, live the best life he ever could, but it's never going to be enough. We have to keep pushing forward, right? We have to keep being that better individual for ourselves. I mean, that's how I look at it.
I agree. Jess, any questions?
No, that was a lot of great information.
Diarrhea.
I appreciate everything you say. I'm on the same page. I feel you. I appreciate you. I love you.
I love you too.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. Well, Jen, where, if our listeners wanted to find you, reach out to you, come to you for coaching or nutrition, where could they find you? What's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so pretty much every platform is Jen Carrasco. I know my Facebook is, I think it's Jen Carrasco, Jennifer Carrasco. Instagram, Jen Carrasco, 2 underscores, but I mean, you can find me. I'm out there. So it's pretty easy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, jencarrasco.com. And then I'm so excited about this. I'm getting my Jeep wrapped. Have you guys thought about getting your cars wrapped yet? No? Okay. So I have a lifted Jeep because I'm like such a tomboy. So I lifted the Jeep and I'm going to get it wrapped with teal with pink ass writing on it.
Awesome.
Nice.
You got to post a picture of that when you do it.
I will.
Very
so
cool.
You'll be able to find me if you see me driving.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, if you guys got something out of this, and I'm sure that you did, right? You got a lot of high-level entrepreneurs on this show all the time. Please leave us a 5-star review and share this with a friend. Jen, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you on the next one.
Creating success out of failure. Creating success out of failure.
Thanks for tuning in to Creating Success Out of Failure. Please share this with someone that needs to hear it, post it on social media, and leave us a 5-star review. I'll catch you on the next one.
Creating success out of failure.